Let us break up the monotony of all of this bad news recently and interject a little bit of hope, a little bit of positivity into everyone's lives. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, this is somebody that we have talked about in passing about a year and change ago. Okay, at the tail end, I think, of 2023, there was a story that broke from somebody that I have met on a couple of different occasions, and if he didn't private all of his videos from a certain epoch in time, I'd be able to show you. It's like, yeah, I was on stage and actually won one of his contests because I have a pretty extensive knowledge of video game trivia, but I digress. This isn't about me. This is about the Completionist, and I was one of the few people that came to his defense, and I've got all the ratioed videos to go ahead and prove it to you. But the way that certain people were trying to spin this just out of nowhere controversy, right? Because Jirard, well, okay, as much as I'm going to say, he's a great guy. Whenever I met him, I have nothing bad to say about him. He was always very jovial and very personable. That was back, SGC 2013 and 2014. So yeah, it's been a long old time since I've seen him face to face, but he was also, on stage going along with Frosk and her big G4 meltdown. So you know what? Hey, you do get points docked on that one. And yeah, he very much wants to be one of those guys that just walks a fine line. He just doesn't want to, upset anybody. He just wants to talk about completing games, and in doing as much, he kind of ingratiated himself with a goofy crowd that's out there looking directly at you, Jesse Cox, the inspiration for one of the many soy jacks that are out there. I wish I was joking on that. But this is a bunch of names from eras gone by. Long story short, the Completionist got caught up in what ended up getting spun out as being, he was stealing charity money. But in reality, he was on the board, or maybe even the chairman of a Alzheimer's charity that was set up in memoriam for his mother, and it, instead of disseminating money, ended up sitting on it because they couldn't find the appropriate place to give it to that they said had it earmarked for, but because it didn't hit a certain threshold, they needed to keep it. And as such, nobody made any withdrawals. The only thing that was taken back from it was, the stated taxes and costs of running certain events for the charity itself. Long story short, nobody made a profit on it. The money did end up going to other charities that are out there. And what I heard at the tail end of last year, at the beginning of this year, Jirard has pretty much stopped video production, and now he's being investigated by the IRS, a fate I wouldn't wish on anybody. But one of the people leading that charge, the other one burnt out also at the end of last year, shout out to Mudahar, drama farmers, the whole lot of them. But the worst, is definitely Karl Jobst, okay? Perpetual drama grifter. He just decided to, try to make his name off of claiming Billy Mitchell. Okay, one of the quintessential old school arcade video gamers. If you're not familiar with the guy, chances are, and especially if you've seen Jason Momoa's character from Minecraft, or from the Minecraft movie, kind of loosely based on Billy Mitchell, you could kind of connect the dots that are right there. Somebody who is being presented as a relic of a bygone era, who used to be really cool when it comes to all of the games that are out there, set all the high scores, broke all of the records, okay, but is just clinging on the success of yesteryear. But also, Billy Mitchell has exceptionally successful brands. You'd know him from, just iconography of just having the shorn beard, and he always wears the American flag tie as well. It's like, he's presented himself as a patriot long before that was in vogue. But yes, he was very much squared up as being in the antagonist role, across from, I think, what was his name, Steve Wiebe in the King of Kong documentary in the mid to late 2000s. I forget specifically when that was going out. But yeah, Billy Mitchell was very much, he was kind of like the Alex Rodriguez of arcade games. Somebody who was very good at their craft, but very, very easily dislikable. So that's why when drama grifter Karl Jobst hopped on the scene, and it's like, he faked some of his records. It's like, what's your proof on that one? He faked some of his records because I got secondhand information. The entire woke gaming industry, and I don't use that term lightly, I mean Twin Galaxies and, all of gaming journalism, do I need to point anywhere further than Kotaku and Polygon, okay? They would immediately bolster, Karl Jobst claims, and nobody wanted to take a shot at this guy because he was going scorched earth around the entire scene, making video after video, besmirching Billy Mitchell time and time again. And it didn't take long for Billy to go, stop talking shit about me, okay? Send in cease and desist out there. You don't have anything to back this up. You're just simply going off of vibes, bro. But because this Australian idiot didn't think he needed to double check his sources, well, you can tell by the headline, he learned a harsh truth recently that you should really just stop defaming people. Something I brought up actually in a live stream that got highlighted, but like I said, it's not about me. We're talking about YouTuber Karl Jobst loses big in Australian court to controversial arcade record breaker Billy Mitchell in humiliating verdict. Now here's the thing, man, okay? What's this? You're siding with cancel culture? You don't want to have people allowed to express their freedom of expression? You don't want free speech that's out there? Well, when you knowingly lie time and time again, aggressively and repeatedly, that's not free speech. That's defamation. That is actionable language, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy who has on multiple occasions said that it has become his life goal to take down Billy Mitchell. It's like, what the fuck did the guy do to you? Did he come in and did he set the high scores on your chosen machines? Like, yo. But buckle up for a cautionary tale when it comes to YouTube personalities in court. Sometimes bravado and loose statements can trip up otherwise substantial commentary and result in huge losses with the judge. Today's twist features an ongoing saga involving Billy Mitchell, Donkey Kong, and YouTube drama surrounding channel operated by Karl Jobst. An Australian court just slapped the Queensland-based gaming YouTuber Karl Jobst with a hefty fine of 380,000 Australian dollar dues, roughly 237,000 US dollars. He went a little too far with his accusations against the infamous arcade champion. While the substance of his claims weren't challenged in the court vis-a-vis video games, his statements that Billy Mitchell, a renowned arcade record breaker who may have controversially achieved some records legitimately or illegitimately, I'll leave that up to the experts to figure out, which, yeah, after the years and years, because this wasn't like just a couple of videos. This has been a campaign that has been going on for the better part of a decade. Okay, arguing about records that were set in on and around the time that the King of Kong stuff was going on, if not earlier than that. But yeah, anything that has been researched, because there were claims about tampered with arcade boards and stuff like that. I'm not going to pretend to know all of the ins and outs of this, but even Twin Galaxies, those old arcade record keepers where you used to have to send in your tapes with your high scores in after you videotaped the screen. They had to say, oh, well, we still think that Billy Mitchell's a bad guy. Yeah, he did legitimately set that record, but we're going to go ahead and give him a distinction in a different category with an asterisk. Like, oh, piss off. But yes, but Billy Mitchell was pleased with the destruction of the critic was too much for the Australian courts. Given the results, Jobst probably shouldn't have played legal expert on his channel, essentially presenting a narrative and a revenue stream leading up to the court proceedings that would ultimately cost Jobst dearly. Oh no, I wish I really cared. Karl Jobst, yeah, I never said the trial was about Billy Mitchell cheating. Here's a compilation of the two videos where he talks about the trial in depth and in the latter months prior to it. He specifically says at 1 minute 45 seconds that it was to get a judge to give an official ruling over cheating. Oh yeah, wow, imagine that. He couldn't keep his story straight. Big shock. Jobst claimed that the video to the world that it was very stupid for Mitchell to initiate the court proceedings. Now, how that looked to a judge was questionable, but the results speak for themselves. Here's a scoop. Jobst, known for his deep dives into speedrunning and gaming controversies, published a video back in 2021 titled "The Biggest Con Men in Video Game History Strikes Again," where he took direct aim at Billy Mitchell. Why? Because he's well, like I said, from a certain point of view, a generally easy-to-hate, braggadocious individual, okay? Needless to say, Jobst stirred the pot. That's no surprise, since his flavor for entertainment is a sleuth of sorts who unveils corruption and cheating quite often in his short-form documentaries. Yeah, that's why I despise all of the drama stuff that's on YouTube, mostly because it's just poorly sourced and it's out there specifically to get clicks and generate revenue. Like, if you're in content creation for revenue purposes, that's fine, man. You know, people do that all the time. People don't do it for the love of the sport. People don't do it because they want to make for a people want to do it in order to make a more truthful, honest ecosystem. There's some people that do that. And then there's the Karl Jobst of the world that, yeah, think that the world is a finite pie, and if they go ahead and take away somebody else's serving, they can have it for themselves. Oh well. The video in question, however, implied that Mitchell's previous settlement with late YouTuber Benjamin Smith, Apollo legend, involved Smith paying Mitchell a massive sum of money, suggesting this directly contributed to Smith's tragic self-deletion in 2020. What? Jobst went even further, alleging Mitchell expressed joy over Smith's passing. Yo, that's wild. A later statement has cost Jobst a small fortune in comparison to his likely annual revenues from YouTube. Oh no! Mitchell, whose Donkey Kong high scores have sparked litigation and record disputes for years, wasn't having it. promptly took Jobst to court, but notably, it wasn't about the legitimacy of his arcade records this time. Instead, Mitchell focused solely on the damaging claims about the Apollo Legend settlement. And yeah, Karl Jobst raised on GoFundMe north of $200,000. Yes, Judge Ken Barlow hit Jobst with the legal haymaker. It might have seemed warranted. Jobst had previously bragged online about the case and even posted on social media in a derisive manner when Mitchell's attorney had originally asked him to revoke the statement in question. Yeah, you could have saved yourself a lot of suffering and a lot of headaches if you just would have simply retracted your unproven statement. As it turns out, no money ever exchanged hands in Mitchell's 2020 settlement with Apollo Legend. Smith simply agreed to remove all content related to Mitchell and assign copyrights to his videos to Mitchell. Jobst initially claimed that Apollo Legend had paid $1 million to Mitchell, a claim he later edited out of Smith's brothers clarified the truth. Adding fuel to the fire, Judge Barlow highlighted that over 500,000 viewers saw Jobst' original video, which prompted an avalanche of malicious comments, some even accusing Mitchell of outright murder. Jobst' response to Mitchell's legal warnings didn't help matters either, as he publicly described the lawsuit as exciting. And predicted an amazing experience. This is where the bravado of being a truth teller on YouTube can sometimes translate very poorly to the real world, particularly when the facts are not on your side. Yeah, when you're trying to construct a narrative as opposed to just simply telling the truth. I lost. The judge found that Billy to be credible witness and believed the entire testimony. From that point on, unfortunately, there was really nothing that could have saved me. I will now obviously consider my options. I know many of you will be upset by this, and I am sorry for it. Oh, go fuck yourself, you fucking hack. And post on X, Jobst trying to save face with his community was hit. I was hit with community notes that are just as brutal as the judge, although not quite as expensive. Jobst was unable to defend at least 5 separate claims he made in the video about Billy Mitchell. A legal challenge primarily contested videos which implied Mitchell's prior behavior and legal actions may have contributed to the self-deletion of YouTuber Apollo Legend. As noted, it wasn't the credibility of the witness that damaged Jobst. Instead, it was a series of poor decisions involving a claim that couldn't be defended and that may have put other lives at risk. While Jobst may have been correct about breaking arcade records in his video, again, not something I'm going to weigh in on any one way or another. But hey, if you take a look at the guy and you see what he's willing to lie about, do you think that he would try to be a little bit more hyperbolic about Billy breaking records? If you think that would be too low for him, I mean, I don't know what to tell you at this point in time. But yeah, I've heard a couple of different interviews with this individual in recent years, and I've come to my own conclusions on him, including, the one that I mentioned a little bit earlier by saying that he wants to make it his life mission to make Billy Mitchell suffer. This is fun for him. This is something that, he's taken exceptionally personally. But there's another Discord message that ended up leaking that is posted by, Billy Mitchell himself. Imagine that. Karl Jobst, I will get sued. Then you have this Ghost of the Yoda character. Do you ever run scripts for videos like this past the lawyer, or is it not worth the expense? So yeah, just, crossing your T's and dotting your I's like any good journalist would do. No, because I don't give a fuck. No, I don't, because F lawyers and what they think. If I want to say something, I will say it. F letting other people tell you what to do. A lawyer will always tell you to say nothing. Who wants to live by that principle? I don't know. People that don't want to be bankrupt before they're 40. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.